Welcome to The Explainer. Okay, let's jump right into a vibrant, high-stakes geographical tour of India's incredible ecosystems. If you've ever traveled across the vast expanse of India, you immediately notice how wildly the plants and trees change from one region to the very next. So today, we're unpacking exactly why that happens. We'll be exploring the totally unique forests that blanket the country and taking a hard look at the urgent steps required to protect them. Before we set off on our expedition, here's our roadmap for today. 1. What is natural vegetation? 2. India's 5 forest types. 3. The 21.34% crisis and importance. And 4. Conserving our natural wealth.
All right, let's dive into section 1. What exactly is natural vegetation?
So, the real kicker here is no humans allowed. We're talking about plant life that thrives entirely on its own, completely free from human interference. We aren't looking at manicured city parks or meticulously planted agricultural fields, right? Natural vegetation refers specifically to the wild forests, shrubs, and grasses that just naturally take root and establish themselves in an environment.
And what actually makes it grow? Well, there are basically 3 ultimate rules dictating exactly what can survive in any given region: climate, landform, and soil. Because these physical factors change so drastically depending on where you are on the map, the natural vegetation just changes right along with them. I mean, you simply won't find the exact same trees surviving in the freezing mountains as you would in a scorching desert. It just doesn't work that way. Moving right along to section 2, India's 5 forest types. Starting way up in the freezing north at the Himalayan foothills and extending all the way down to parts of the Nilgiri Hills in the south, we find mountain forests. These are home to tough coniferous trees like pine, cedar, spruce, and fir. Now think about this environment for a second. To survive here, these trees are armed with highly specialized needle-like leaves. It's brilliant, actually, because it stops heavy snow from settling on them and snapping their branches. Plus, as a side note, the pulp and wood from these specific trees are incredibly valuable for making paper. Now check out the stark contrast between these 2 tropical heavyweights. On one hand, you've got tropical evergreen forests, your classic rainforests. These pop up in hot, wet regions getting more than 200 centimeters of rainfall, like the slopes of the Western Ghats or the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. They are incredibly dense, form thick canopies, and feature massive trees like mahogany, ebony, and rosewood that never shed their leaves all at once. They just stay green year-round. But then, on the other hand, we have tropical deciduous forests, widely known as monsoon forests. Found in areas getting about 70 to 200 centimeters of rain, you'll see trees like teak, bamboo, and sandalwood here. The key difference? These deciduous trees actually shed their leaves once a year to conserve water during those dry spells. Okay, let's leave the heavy rains behind and head into the hot, dry zones of Gujarat, Haryana, and Rajasthan. Here, thorn forests absolutely dominate. These areas receive very little rainfall, mostly under 25 centimeters. So to survive these crazy long durations without water, trees like the kikar, babool, and wild palms rely on some intense structural adaptations. We're talking incredibly long roots to reach deep underground water sources, paired with tiny leaves, sharp thorns, and thick bark, all perfectly engineered to minimize moisture loss. It's pure survival mode. Finally, we hit the marshy, swampy coasts and delta regions that get flooded by high tides. This is where tidal forests, or mangrove forests, literally rule the roost. And it brilliantly showcases nature's adaptability, because these trees can survive in both fresh and salty seawater. If you look at the Sundarbans in the Ganga-Brahmaputra Delta, named after the famous Sundari tree, by the way, you'll see these fascinating breathing roots sticking right up above the waterline. This allows the trees to survive in that totally waterlogged, oxygen-deprived mud.
Which brings us to section 3, the 21.34% crisis and importance. So here's a massive reality check. Right now, only 21.34% of India's total area is actually covered with forests. For a country of this sheer size and ecological diversity, that number is, well, it's highly concerning. We've seen vast amounts of original forest cover systematically destroyed, cleared away to make room for expanding farmlands, growing urban cities, and massive industrial complexes. We absolutely cannot afford to lose them, guys. I mean, these forests are literally Earth's life support system. They play a massive role in keeping the entire planet cool. They are our oxygen factories, giving us the very air we breathe, while simultaneously scrubbing harmful carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere.
Their roots literally hold the earth together to prevent soil erosion, which is when vital topsoil just gets washed or blown away. And on top of all that, they supply us with essential products like medicine, gum, paper, and wood.
And that leads us perfectly into Section 4, conserving our natural wealth.
So, what are we doing about it? Well, real conservation takes both local grassroots hustle and major national action. At the community level, people are out there planting trees, restoring non-fertile land, and even building these beautiful butterfly gardens to attract moths and butterflies. Why? Because these insects are critical for pollination, the spread of pollen, which directly boosts plant populations. On a larger scale, the Indian government has rolled out vital projects like For Every Child a Tree and Van Mahotsav. During the monsoon season, these awesome festivals encourage families and kids to come together and actively plant trees to boost afforestation.
But to really understand this passion, we have to look back at the 1970s and the legendary Chipko movement. Started by Sunderlal Bahuguna and an incredibly brave group of local women, this was grassroots dedication at its finest. The word Chipko literally translates to hug or embrace, and that is exactly what they did. People literally hugged the trees, putting their own bodies right between the trunks and the loggers' axes just to save their local forests. Talk about putting everything on the line. Of course, forests aren't just about the trees. They're home to wildlife that's absolutely crucial to our environmental balance. So, to protect rare and endangered species from illegal hunting and poaching, the government has set up these massive protected areas of land. You've got Kaziranga in Assam protecting the famous one-horned rhino. Jim Corbett in Uttarakhand is a total haven for the Bengal tiger. Down in Gujarat, Gir is world-renowned for the Asiatic lion. And way up in Jammu and Kashmir, Hemis National Park provides this vital sanctuary for the elusive snow leopard. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a real thought exercise. Take a look around your own surroundings. What specific human activities in your area are actively reducing forest cover? And more importantly, what can you personally do today to make sure we don't lose these incredible ecosystems forever? It's definitely something to think about. Thanks so much for joining me on this journey through India's natural vegetation.